Melbourne is coming to grips with an increasingly strict lockdown as authorities say the risk of infection in children and mystery cases gives them no choice. Victoria's recorded 24 new locally acquired infections. 10 of those were infectious in the community and 3 are mystery cases. And the Premier is urging more people to get tested. As playgrounds and skate parks became no-go zones today, authorities have defended their decisions, citing examples of transmission between children. State political reporter Bridget Drollerson has the details.
This is the unmistakable, reminiscent silence of a city under curfew. The new rules came into effect overnight and caught many off guard when supermarkets closed their doors early to comply.
This is about getting out of this. It's difficult for a short period of time. Hopefully we can drive these case numbers down and then we won't need a curfew.
It's a growing number of mystery cases that has prompted the tougher restrictions. 5 around the St Kilda area have authorities concerned the virus is spreading there undetected.
These cases aren't linked by age, they're not linked by faith. They aren't all in the same book club, they're not all on the same footy club. The only thing they share is geographic proximity.
The Premier's singled out residents in these 3 local government areas as being most at risk.
Anyone experiencing symptoms in Port Phillip, Glen Ira or Bayside, we need you to come forward and get tested, and we need you to come forward today.
There are now 6 positive cases linked to an illegal engagement party held in St Kilda East last week. The family who hosted the celebration has received death threats and anti-Semitic abuse.
There is never, ever a place in Victoria for anti-Semitic behaviour or language. It's simply evil.
As playgrounds and skate parks were taped off today and families were turned away, it was revealed there are 50 children under the age of 10 in Victoria who currently have the virus, with child-to-child transmission on the rise.
It's not definitive and maybe we'll not be able to make it definitive, but it looks like there's been transmission in a playground.
Well, many Victorians have managed to work from home for the last 18 months. One workforce that hasn't is State Parliament. Upper House MPs who turned up here today were sent home within an hour after the government voted to reschedule the sitting week, denying those in opposition the chance to question the strict COVID response.
The opposition believes there should be scrutiny, there should be a question time, there should be an opportunity for us as MPs to stand up for our electorates and the people who are being hurt.
But the Premier says he faces hours of scrutiny every day. Bridget Drollerson, ABC News, Melbourne.
Melburnians have spent the day adjusting to the new rules. Of particular concern this time around is the toll on mental health, as well as on one of the state's most valuable sectors. Nicole Asher takes a look.
It was tools down at Melbourne construction sites this morning as builders took stock of new lockdown measures.
We already have massive shortages in supplies and trades at the moment, so adding this restriction onto that is quite devastating.
The fresh lockdown means a cap of 5 people on site or 25% of workers on bigger builds.
Subcontractors can only visit 3 sites per week. I think that's going to have a massive impact to the industry and is really going to delay all the builders, suppliers and trades out there.
Today, the city was emptied of all but essential workers. Playgrounds stood abandoned, and as the new restrictions took effect, there's concern about the toll they'll take.
Pre-pandemic, we were seeing about 20% of people needed to go and see a psychologist, psychiatrist, needed some help with their mental health. I think with the data that we're seeing now, we would be more along lines of 35%.
There are calls for a mental health professional to join the daily press conferences.
Having someone on a daily basis that could be asked the questions that the general public have would be really helpful.
I'd certainly support it. I think we need, we need the guidance, we need the messaging that tells us how best to manage in these most difficult of circumstances.
Even before the pandemic, there was recognition the mental health sector was in crisis, and demand has soared. With playgrounds closed for the next fortnight and no certainty around when schools will reopen, there's growing concern for the welfare of young Victorians in particular. Professor Rossell has some simple recommendations about how to cope.
I often say to people, celebrate the small wins. Even getting out of bed is a small win, but if you can keep to the same routine, it helps.
And for the kids,
a lot more social interaction with their peers online. I know it's not the same, but it will help.
Nicole Asher, ABC News, Melbourne.
And if you or anyone you know is struggling, please do reach out to Beyond Blue on 1300 224 636 or Lifeline on 13 11 14.